Can everybody see the presentation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Just let me know when we're ready to start.
We're ready to go. We'll start the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the introduction. My name is, let me turn on my video here too. My name is Josh Sapigil. I am the digital platform coordinator for MediaAMP in the University Technology Office. And I'm currently having trouble finding my video button. There we go. So today's presentation is going to be about accessibility in MediaAMP and how to deliver accessible content. So I've broken the presentation into three 15-minute chunks. In the first 15 minutes, we're going to do this presentation, and then we're going to have a follow-along demonstration where we actually go through and upload an asset into MediaAMP and walk through the process that you're going to learn in the presentation, and then we'll have a few minutes for questions and discussion. I would imagine that last section might compress a bit depending on time for the middle part here. Just briefly, a little bit about me. I've just lifted my my bio from the Global Accessibility Awareness Day website for the most part. I actually made a typo. I moved to Phoenix in 2014, not 2012. Time flies, apparently, while I'm out here. But I joined UTO at the end of March from the Herberger Institute. And so I've been in this role only for about a month now. But I have been with the university for several years, upwards of 7 years now. So in the presentation today, we're going to talk about what is MediaAMP, accessibility at the company MediaAMP and within the tool itself, MediaAMP, and then preparing and delivering accessible content. And then we'll jump into that live demonstration. Before we get started, a lot of presentations cite the charter, and I really like, especially for an accessibility event, this section where we measure ourselves by whom we include and how they succeed, and not whom we exclude at ASU. So it's with that lens that I'm kind of considering accessibility in a very broad way during this presentation when it comes to the content that you're creating and authoring and distributing to your students, and or for other purposes around the university as well. MediaAMP is also used for hosting some marketing materials and other things like that as well. So what is MediaAMP? It's something that we talk about a lot. You may have experienced it. You may have used it already through Canvas or through the web portal. I see MediaAMP really as three main tools that are layered on top of a platform that we'll talk about in a moment. So the three main tools that you'll interact with when you're using MediaAMP are Modalis, the Canvas LTI tool, and then the player of MediaAMP's player itself. So Modalis and the Canvas LTI are sort of like windows into the same place. You access the same content and the same information in both. And we'll see examples of this later on in the presentation as well. So Modalis is, like I said, the web-based portal. That's a place where you can go and upload your content, curate, manage, caption, share, all of those things. Canvas LTI tool brings that same ability into your courses within Canvas. So you can do all of those things directly within Canvas for the most part. There are a few things that can only be done via the website. And then there's also the Canvas Rich Content Editor tool, which will allow you to embed content straight into MediaAMP or into your Canvas course from MediaAMP. And the LMS team, I'm sorry, not the LMS team, the UTO training team, I'm getting these all mixed up. The UTO LMS instructional design team in UTO can provide support on the ins and outs of actually using MediaAMP day to day. We'll do a short demonstration, but this is mainly going to be focused on the accessibility aspects of MediaAMP and the workflow rather than an instructional how-to of using MediaAMP in a full explanation. And then finally, the player is the last component, and that's actually kind of a new addition to sort of the pillars of tools that comprise MediaAMP, because MediaAMP is starting to actually provide some new features within the player itself related to accessibility that we'll go over today. So, and I mentioned this is all built on top of another sort of a platform, and that is a workflow and media processing service platform. So what that provides is content storage. You can see down here, content storage. ASR is automatic speech recognition, and that is the captioning tool, the transcribing tool that we use. We rely on a couple of different computer-based AI natural language processing tools. So what MediaAMP does is it creates a very small copy of your video and asks these services to translate it into text, and then that text is what is returned to us for the transcript. ABR derivative transcoding is a fancy way of saying making a lot of copies of the same video at different quality levels so that the person on the other end receiving and watching your video, so that they can continue watching your content regardless of the quality of their connection. To an extent, there are obviously, if it's really bad, you probably won't be able to stream your video, but that allows us to deliver content over a smaller, slower cell phone connection, all the way up to full HD video on a faster home internet connection or a fast cell connection or something like that. And then it also is the service that generates the thumbnails and the global content distribution network. That's sort of the portal for that content to be spread around the world so that it is actually more accessible to your students geographically, so that they're not downloading a video from a basement in a data center at ASU. They're downloading that video from a server that is geographically near them, which offers a faster connection and a better experience for the students. So there are a lot of advantages in terms of not just accessibility and thinking of things that we need to do to make content easier for folks to access, who may not be able to hear the content or see the content, or color blindness or things like that. This is sort of looking at accessibility in a very broad way, and like, how can we get our content into people's hands in an accessible way that is fast, that is easy to use, and very highly functional and scalable. Does anybody have any questions about what MediaAMP is? Because I'm going to jump into the workflow next. Okay. Or I'm sorry, we're going to talk briefly about accessibility, then I'm going to jump into the workflow. So MediaAMP as a company is very committed to accessibility. I'm in discussions with them. There have been several times where they have talked about features and ideas that they had that they chose not to pursue because those were not accessible options for developing those features. And so they have actually changed course to make sure that their tool is more accessible for everybody on the ground who is using it. And alongside that, they're also highly collaborative in terms of support and their development process. We meet with them regularly and provide input, and they bring ideas to us for feedback, and it's a very collaborative process, which in my experience so far, and I had some experience with MediaAMP in my time at Herberger as well, and in my experience so far, it's been a very good relationship that a lot of great stuff has come out of, not only in terms of features for the university, but for accessibility as well. We've asked them to make sure that the player was accessible via a screen reader, and we have asked them to and another feature that we really strongly supported with them was this new feature that I'll demonstrate later, and which allows you to customize the appearance of the captions on the player. So for example, if you're watching a video that has white captions on a white background, you can now change the color of those captions so that you can see them on that white background. And then of course, Modalis itself has a built-in workflow for captioning and making captions available on every video, an automated workflow. Excuse me, mostly automated workflow. And then let's talk about your workflow for producing content and making sure that your content is as accessible as possible. And that really begins, as you can see on the subtitle, prior to creation. Begins as you're conceptualizing your content and thinking about, what am I showing? Is it well lit? Am I using colors to indicate something particularly important in my video that folks may not be able to see, perhaps if they're colorblind? And then also thinking about things like, is everything in my video easy to see? And is everything framed well? Because those considerations will also impact your viewer's ability to connect with the content and process it. So consider accessibility early in your process as you're designing your videos. You know, if you're sitting in your kitchen, try not to shoot with your window behind you, you know, so that your students can see your face and can, you know, see the movement of your mouth, for example, and your facial expressions. So next step would be uploading your content into MediaAMP. That's a pretty easy step. We'll go over that when we do the demonstration. Then captioning the content, that's an essential step as well. And not only for folks who require captions to access the content, but for everybody. Most folks on the internet now watch videos without captions, or with captions, I'm sorry, without sound. They watch videos without sound. I think it's, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I think it's upwards of 50% or more of viewers don't participate with sound in a video. They like to read the captions. And that could be that they are in a really loud environment, or they could be in a really quiet environment where it wouldn't be appropriate to play the video out loud, or any combination thereof. So captioning, and we have found that your students, or the students, consume that content in a similar way in classes too. They want to be able to read the captions. It helps them understand better. It helps them jump around in the content, and it lets them consume the content wherever they are in a way that they want to consume it, whether they're in a loud place, quiet place, at home with a bunch of family running around, as many of us have been lately. And then finally, delivering your content. And we're going to talk about embedding it into Canvas and getting it onto the page, and then some of the features in the player that make that content more accessible as well. So that is sort of a very high level overview of what MediaAMP is. And we're going to jump into the actual presentation, or the demonstration now, where we can all go through this together. And my hope is that that'll raise some questions and spark some ideas as well, and we can have a discussion as we're going about that. So if I could ask everybody to go to this first link and download this sample. And please feel welcome to unmute yourselves and ask questions and participate in this part. I'm going to stop sharing my screen briefly so that I can show you. So that I can switch over to a new window here. There, okay. Can everybody see my desktop?
Yes.
Cool, thank you. All right. Okay, so here's the link here. I'll also drop this in the chat right now, both of these. Maybe, where's the chat? There we go. Okay, so once you've downloaded that sample video on the top link, go ahead and go to the bottom link, asu.modalis.io, and log in using your asu@asu.edu email address. When you do that, the login box should change to take you to log into Modalis. Let me demonstrate that. So when you first log in, you'll be taken to the MediaAMP login screen. And as soon as you enter asu.edu, it will switch to use single sign-in so that you can log in with your ASU rate. And you'll go through the usual process of verifying your login with Duo. And you'll arrive here at the main MediaAMP screen. By default, you land on the All Media tab. If you've not uploaded anything here, you won't see anything in this area. So what we're going to do is we're going to upload that video. So let me grab that link here. That's my link. Okay, I already have this video on my computer. We'll use that one. Sorry about that. So when we're in here, what we'll do is go up here in the right corner and upload. MediaAMP displays a notice about copyright. We are going to use a copyrighted clip, but I am going to remove them when we're done. So this is a learning activity here. And we're going to use this sample clip from my favorite TV, one of my favorite TV shows, Rick and Morty. We're going to use a clip of Interdimensional Cable. It's one of their fun episodes. That's just a bunch of random skits. So while that's uploading, we can take a look at one that I put in the oven earlier and has already finished cooking. So this is a copy that I have already uploaded earlier. And when you are done uploading your content, this is where this is what it'll look like when you open up your media, and you can do that by clicking on any of these links here. And in this screen, so we've gone through 2 steps of the workflow. Creating, we'll set that aside. This was created by the wonderful creators of Rick and Morty. And then we have uploaded the content now. So the next step in our workflow is going to be to caption the content. And what MediaAMP does is automatically sends that content out to be transcribed, like I mentioned. But there are occasionally some mistakes that the AI makes in the video. Sometimes it misunderstands words, especially names, technical jargon. So if you're in an industry where there are a lot of special words, you'll probably have to spend a little bit more time editing your captions. However, this is something that's improving all the time. This confidence score here, these used to be much lower. They used to be in like the 70s, and now they're consistently in the 80s and 90s generally. So you can play the video up here in the corner, and it also will read along. So you just kind of watch, make sure that the captions match the video. Let's see, okay. So we can see right here when he's making up words, sneezy, deezy, we'll say, okay. So sneezy, deezy, we'll say Mick Deluxe. And you can also begin the video from this point as well. Okay, so it actually did a pretty good job with the video. I don't know if you guys could hear that. Is it sending my audio into the meeting? My apologies if not. So this transcript actually looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and save that. And you can either save a copy of it or you can just save and publish it. Publishing it will enable it in the player so that folks can actually use the captions and see them. And then we're going to talk about delivering that content into Canvas. You could then take this into Canvas and embed that into one of your courses. You can either do that directly in Canvas from the sidebar, where you'll find the MediaAMP link in the sidebar in your course, and that will take you into your content. Or you can do that from Modalis here in this page that we're already on, under the Share tab. Down here on Share, under Share on the Web, there is a link, there's an embed code and a link directly to the video. And there are 2 types of players that you can use. One is a public player and one's a restricted player. Restricted players will only work when they are embedded in an ASU website. So Canvas, asu.edu, your department's website, things like that. A public player will work anywhere. And the reason for that is that if your students were to go dig into the code on Canvas and pull the link for your video out of the code, of the HTML code, they would still not be able to play that video. So it secures your content against distribution outside of ASU. But since I am not on campus right now, I'm going to use a public player. Just preview this here. Now, I was having a little trouble with the captions before I jumped on. Okay. This is going to be a good example of the level of service that MediaAMP provides, because I cannot get the captions to work on this video. So I'll have to speak with them about that, but we can take a look at one that does work here. This is an older Chevy commercial. But you can see when you play the video now, you have the closed captions. You can turn those on. And they will appear along the bottom of the video here. Now, if your viewers need to change the appearance of the captions for accessibility reasons, they can, or any reason, they can do that as well here under the closed caption button under settings. And it pops open this nice editor for the appearance of those. You can actually change them to a different color. Let's go with magenta and courier. Why not? We'll make them extra large. And we'll put a nice drop shadow on it. So that should take effect immediately. Maybe not the most helpful way of editing those, but this certainly gives you a sense of what's possible with that feature. So that's actually something new that just came out last week during the end of our freeze period last week. MediaAMP applied this update. So this will be available in all of your courses moving forward for your videos. And the appearance of the captions is saved on your computer in a cookie so that when you visit other videos, your captions will also appear in the way that you set them previously. Okay. I have a lot of versions of captions on this video. Trying to get back to my presentation here. 1 second. There we go. Does anybody have trouble? Did anyone have trouble uploading, or if you guys chose to follow along? Does anybody have any questions about that process and about uploading and captioning and the general workflow? I will put that back up on the screen. It's funny, as I'm looking at the participant list, we have a lot of people who are pretty good experts in MediaAMP in here, I think. So there may not be a lot of questions. Well, that is gonna kind of conclude the presentation then if we don't have any questions. Does anybody have any other questions about MediaAMP, or would anyone like support practicing and uploading that test clip?
Hey, Josh?
Yeah.
If folks are power users of MediaAMP, it would be very helpful to get their feedback. If there's some ideas that they have for improving the captioning workflow and they want to share those with us, we would appreciate it because we can pass them on to MediaAMP and see how we can influence the roadmap. Yeah, thank you, Jim. Absolutely. Any feedback that you have anytime, please let me know. Either now or shoot me an email. I'm josh.s@asu.edu. I'm reachable on Slack as well. But I always welcome feedback. I would love to sit down with anybody and have a meal or something, or just meet and discuss ideas. Any other questions or thoughts? Well, then I think I will be returning some time to you guys this afternoon. If there are no other questions. Who do we have hosting from GAAD in here today? Is the host available? Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you attending. We will wrap this up now.
Looks like we have a couple of people left. If anybody would like to go through that again, I'd be happy to.
Hi, Joshua. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I think
Thank you.
most of the participants left, so we'll end the presentation here. So there is a Q&A session from 2 o'clock to 2:45. I'll be posting the link to in the Zoom chat for everyone, so that you can go there and have the Zoom link there. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.